No, I'm not going to read this. Hey, everybody. This is the hottest commodity in pro wrestling, the manager's manager, the maker of mayhem, the bringer of boom, the wager of war, the instigator of illuminating truth, and as of recently, the collector of champions. And you're watching the hashtag truth with Scott Larson. Now, get out of here.
Watch it all fall down around you now. Was it ever really worth it? Having your kingdom crumble to the ground because you never had the courage. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Hashtag Truth. Tonight we have the one, the only Brian Thrill. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and hit up my first sponsor. Ladies and gentlemen, Guy Roofing. What makes Guy Roofing different? We pride ourselves on the quality of our workmanship, the representation of our team, and the level of customer service we provide. Ultimately, Guy Roofing differences comes down to our people. Our clients choose us for our dedicated team, our commitment to quality, and our relentless pursuit of excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jeff Guy, the vice president of Guy Roofing. Guy Roofing has over 50 years of experience in residential and commercial roofing. Their exceptional roofing systems are built to last with superior materials, experienced crews, and a tailored approach that puts them well above any other roofing company. For all your roofing needs, call Guy Roofing at 800-771-0778 or visit Guy Roofing at guyroofing.com today. How are you doing, Mr. Brian Thrill?
Pretty good for a rainy Friday.
It is, man. The weather, it's South Carolina. Give it 10 minutes, or North Carolina. Give it 10 minutes. It'll change.
That's fair. That's fair.
Without a doubt. So I'm going to hit you up with the first question that I always hit every person that ever comes on Hashtag Truth with. How did you get started in this crazy business of professional wrestling, sir?
Funny story. It just pretty much like everybody else as a kid. But my mom has always been somewhat of an aficionado of the business and being involved in some aspects of the business herself. So I'm going to go with my mom.
Okay, I like that. So you grew up basically around wrestling, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories out there like that, but it's good though. But it's good because how long have you been wrestling, sir?
I broke into the business in 2008.
Okay. Who trained you when you first started? I know you never stopped training, but who was the first guy that looked at Brian Thrill and said, "You know what? This guy can wrestle. Let me help this kid along."
The first school that I ever went to was in Spartanburg, South Carolina on Whitney Road. It was the APW, American Pro Wrestling out of Spartanburg.
Okay. Hey, no shame in that game. There is a ton of wrestlers in our area that started there. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Some of them still there.
Yeah.
So you can't say that's a bad thing. Oh, Daniel come to us from YouTube saying, "Here we go." Ron Emerson Jr. of the Wrestling Wire said, "What's up, Scott and Brian? Check out Ron Emerson Jr. on the Wrestling Wire every Thursday night and Sunday night on Ron Emerson Jr.'s Facebook page and on YouTube." Brian, so what's been going on in your wrestling career lately? I mean, you just said you grew up around wrestling. You've been wrestling for years. How did you Let's start that over again, shall we? I just choked a few minutes ago, ladies and gentlemen. I had to wolf down my supper like 5 minutes before the show. So I was like all choked up, and Brian was thinking we weren't going to have a show, that I was going to choke myself out here. I mean, he was over there laughing so hard, but we're just having fun. So your longevity in your wrestling career, what do you account that for? What do you do to keep yourself going, keep yourself fit, keep yourself trained?
As of lately, and this is going to sound bad, and I probably should not say this, but I haven't been able to do a whole lot lately. Now, leading up to as of late was the fire service.
Okay.
Being a fireman, being a very active member of a public service agency like that, it will absolutely keep you in shape. It'll keep you on your toes. You just got to be ready for anything at any time. And we trained as such, and that just
Right.
really kept me in great physical condition.
Well, so you've been doing firefighting and wrestling, both at the same time. That's got to be hard, brother.
It was, but at the same time, the way I feel about it is if Bullet Bob Armstrong could do it, I can.
There you go, man. You just name dropped one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, man. Bullet Bob, boy. Let me tell you. William Melton said, "What's up, Mr. Brian Thrill?"
What's up, William?
Little Evil says, "Hey." Without a doubt. So let me ask you something, man. I've had plenty of conversations with you at wrestling shows, and we've talked about your wrestling career. Tell me, what is that one piece of advice you have gotten from somebody that has stood fast to you the whole time that you've been in professional wrestling? I mean, you took it and you ran with it.
Well, there's two bits of information there. One of which being you never stop learning.
Okay.
Any and every time you're in the ring with anyone, learn from them, even if it's good or bad. Just remember to take everything with a grain of salt. And
Right.
that's what I got told as I was training, and when I went to these different schools and different shows and got in there with their students and everything else, it was, hey, look, I'm not the end all be all. And I've told some of my students this, look, I'm not the end all be all. I'm not the great whatever of pro wrestling. I can show you how I do it and what works for me,
Right.
but there's other people out there. Reach out, find that learning tree. This is the indies. This is where everybody learns. And then the other one is you can make friends or you can make money. How many friends you got?
I love the way that was put. That was the best I've ever heard that put, ladies and gentlemen, without a doubt. PC said Brandon Owens' is twin brother. Uh-oh.
I knew that was coming.
William Melton said wrestling is like the fire service. You never stop learning. There you go. He
Absolutely.
said the same thing. Peter Pan said promoters book this match. Brian Thrill versus Max Carnage versus Brandon Owens. My goodness, man. I would love to see that one. And of course, Jack said again, you're Brandon Owens' twin brother.
Yeah,
So-
I've seen that one coming.
So I'm assuming that everybody thinks you look like Brandon Owens. I can kind of see similarities, the nose ring, the losing of the hair up top. And, I could, but wrestling wise, you two are a little bit different.
Yeah, I'd say so. But there's a lot of similarities between myself and Brandon. And Brandon would look a lot like me. I'm the older one, by the way.
There you go. There you go. Brandon took your look from you. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
There you go. Without a doubt. I love that, man. So have you ever showed up at a wrestling show? Because I know you'll talk about anything if I ask you. Have you ever showed up at a wrestling show? And I don't want you to name the company or anything because Lord knows I've got enough problems as it is. But have you ever showed up at a wrestling show to go to wrestle, and the second you walked into the locker room, you were like, why the heck am I here?
There's been a couple of those, and honestly, it wasn't one of those, why the heck am I here? Because of a negative thing in the locker room. It was because I was looking around the locker room and I'm like, okay, all right. All of these guys are huge. All of these guys are really good at what they do. Why am I standing here now?
Okay.
So it wasn't necessarily I'm here and oh my God. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that. It was one of those, wait, hold on. I think somebody messed up. I think they wanted somebody else. Why me? Because I've always been the smallest guy in the room.
What is the biggest match you've ever been in so far as name dropping someone? Who is that biggest icon that you've been in the ring with in the indies?
That's God, that's a list. Man, um, I would have to say I did a triple threat match, and now when I say this, I learned a lot in this match.
Okay.
Would be Chris Hammer versus Derek Rise versus myself. We were in
Nice.
Lawrence at the Exchange Club.
Chris Hamilton, ECW original, man. I mean, that's
Yep.
name drop right there, big time.
I learned a lot from that match.
So did you win that match?
I did not. I absolutely did not.
Did you get the laying down on your back, the legs spread out, and the kick to the groin from Mr. ECW himself?
Yes, I did.
I don't think there's ever a match that man doesn't do that move, but I love it.
Hey man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Peter Pan said, "Throw Smiley Feel Good in that and make it a 4-way."
I think because he's commented on some posts and things I've made via different social media platforms. I think Smiley's trying to weasel his way in on one.
I got you. He has Smiley Feel Good hasn't been back in a while. He needs to come back and start wrestling again. Okay, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but Killen Disney said, "Good to see you, Brian." Is that correct?
Disney.
Kylan?
Yep.
Okay, see, I told you, I hack up. Me and my partner who does Slapdown Digicast, we hack up names. So if your name isn't Tom or something real easy, we're probably going to ruin it for you. Don't get mad.
Kylan's one of the greatest referees in the Southeast, and I've had the pleasure of working with him a bunch.
Well, very good, because pretty soon I'm going to have me a referee week. So, Kylan, if you want to be a part of that, just get a hold of me, sir, and we'll have you on #Truth. There you go. See how easy that goes? I went from pronouncing his name wrong to inviting him to a show. I love it. So, who was your favorite wrestler to ever compete against? Who did you get the most excited for when you found out, oh my gosh, am I really getting in the ring with this guy?
I'm sure this is for all the wrong reasons, but would probably be JD Drake.
You just wanted to go to Chop Heaven, right?
Well, there was that, plus him and I are family, so you know what that means.
Okay, I got you. Sibling rivalry, something like that.
A lot of that. It was also a long night at the office for both of us.
I got you. He said, "Thank you, Thrill, for the cheap pop. Scott Larson, just tell me the date and time. We will work it out." Thank you, sir. Without a doubt, man. I will let you know. I will be making an announcement soon about that. So just keep your eyes and ears open, sir, and check out my page every once in a while. But we got a couple more minutes left in this segment. If you have any questions for Brian Thrill, please put them up here in the comments, and I will throw them up here on the screen, and we will talk Brian Thrill for the next 45 minutes without a doubt. But Brian, you mentioned earlier, you said you trained people. How did you get into how did you go from being a wrestler into training? How did that transition happen? I know you're still wrestling, but how did you become a trainer also?
I really got to the point where I still wanted to be involved with the business. There was some things that went on and in the business as they do, and I was just like, man, I really don't want to be a part of like that. So I left where I was working, and I just don't tolerate a lot of things, and something that was being allowed to happen at this particular show, I just threw my hands up. And I had walked away for a little bit and focused on other things in my life. I go and I work a show. I can't remember where. I want to say it was HWA when they were at the Armory. Chad Scott asked me about coming to USA Main Event, and I said, "Man, I'll be glad to come help you train these students." I mean, like I said, I've been around since 2008. So I figure I might as well be able to do something to contribute to give back to the business, because if we don't, as the, and I hate using this term to refer to myself because I don't feel this way, but us as veterans in this business, if we don't do something to make sure there is a business in the future,
Right.
there won't be.
Exactly.
And that's really what led me into trying to help and start training with guys and things like that.
I love that. We're gonna get into my next commercial break right here. We're gonna switch things over. Carolina Cleaning Services, ladies and gentlemen. I've been in business for 15 years, cleaning for new construction homes, businesses, rental homes, residential and commercial homes. We offer weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and when needed cleanings. We offer services in McDowell and surrounding counties. I'm owner operated, insured, and bonded. That was Tina Harris, the owner of Carolina Cleaning Service. 1-828-460-5840. Leave the dust to us. Carolina Cleaning Service. Thank you for coming aboard Carolina Cleaning Services. Now, if you guys, again, have any questions for Brian Thrill, put them up. We've got Daniel. He said, tell that crap to someone we shared the locker rooms with.
I think I just did.
There you go. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. So what is the craziest thing you've ever done in professional wrestling, Brian Thrill? What is your big pop moment that you had in a wrestling match? Have you ever had like where you jumped off a roof or through 3 tables, or, everybody usually has a story like that when they've been in the business for a while. What is the craziest thing you've ever done in professional wrestling?
I got this bright idea because
it never goes good when that starts off the conversation. Just
no. So I was sitting there having a salad the night before. No, I'm kidding. It was Friday night, and I was sitting there with some friends and some guys that I ran up down the road with a lot, and we were watching something on somebody's cell phone. It was actually on a BlackBerry Storm, if you remember those.
Right.
And we were watching something. I think it was like, I can't remember what it was now, but I remember the spot. And Tevin Williams, or TJ Boss rather, looks at me and he goes, "Hey, you should totally do that tomorrow night." Man, I can't pull that off. Oh man, yeah, you can. You can absolutely do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. So I get talked into doing this spot, little Fosbury flop, the little shooting star over the top rope to the floor. Well, I get stuck upside down. Like I am fully inverted. And I'm looking at the floor and I went, uh-oh. And Tevin goes, uh-uh. Tevin catches me and we go down. Like it was a thing of beauty, but I would have to say that was probably that or jumping out of the rafters one night was probably the 2 craziest
jumping
things.
Out of the rafters, where did that happen?
Mooresboro Gym.
Oh, okay. I know Mooresboro Gym very well. The dungeon down there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to have a story about the dungeon, man. Is there any stories that you got about being in the dungeon? I mean, tell us about the dungeon there at Mooresboro Gym.
Man, I'm not gonna mention any names.
Right.
But there was some nudity involved in this. One of the promoters that ran that building, me and another person, real young guy that I was called to ask if I would come in and help. I said, yeah, absolutely. I'll come help him. Well, I'm there. We started training that morning. I think we got there at like 10:30 in the morning. And this was show day, set the ring up and everything. We went and got something to eat at the gas station, Deb's or whatever, right up the road. And we come back and we go downstairs to change back into our training clothes because he wants to try some other stuff. And I'm like, all right, cool. So, as you go down the stairs, there's a landing and then you kind of turn a little bit. And so keep going down into the dungeon.
Right.
We cut the corner and there stands this other unnamed human being. She's naked as the day she was born. The guy beside me. Now I have met this young lady previously, been on a few shows with her. So this other person is standing right beside me and she's like, "What's up, guys? What's up?" Like she was good with it, and he was just like mouth wide open, like crickets were echoing through his mouth. I was just like,
what can you do? What can you do?
Man, I don't know what you're gonna do with youngins anymore.
I love that.
And I'm sure that individual that got his mouth pushed back shut was
Mr. Disney said, "I know the naked person you are talking of." He's laughing about it.
actually, yeah, I think
Said,
Tyler was
Jack's
there,
brother.
actually.
What's
Yeah.
up, cat lady?
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. He said, "What's up, cat lady?" You got to tell us about the cats, brother. Come on, the door has been opened.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, Gary.
So I've got cats. I've got dogs, but I have cat tattoos. And I was doing a heating and air job, and a lot of the guys just started calling me Cat Lady because, one, I had a bunch of cats. Two, I have cat tattoos. So it just kind of all started from there.
As a matter of fact, I asked you about one at a show because I'd seen you many times, but I never noticed that you had a cat right behind your ear. You got a tattoo. There it is.
Yep.
And I've always wondered, and I finally got the nerve up to ask you because, you're a professional wrestler. I'm, 450 pounds, 460 pounds. I don't want to get beat up. So, you don't go up to many people and go, "Hey, man, what's with the cat behind your ear?" But you did answer for me.
There's two ways to look at that. You could have asked about it and been kind of nervous about it. But generally, when people have something like that, they're not going to care if you ask them about it. They're not going to be like, "What's it to you?" You know what I mean? Like,
right. I mean, if they wanted to hide it, or if they were, didn't, they'd have it somewhere where you could wear a shirt and cover it up or whatever. I mean, I understood that, but still, it's just the fact that, you don't see a lot of burly men with, things in their nose and piercings all over. And then they got this cat. It just threw me off a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. Brian Ganells said, "What's up, Brian?"
What's up, Brian?
One Brian to another. Master Tech 64. Remember, your mother is listening. I think that's Mama right there, isn't it?
That would be Mama. That would be Mama.
So be on your best behavior, sir.
Sorry, Mom.
Mr. Disney said she was in Playboy.
No, that's the wrong one.
Oh,
Kylan. But that one happened too. That one happened too. Same guy. Go figure, right?
There you go, without a doubt. Peter Pan's got a question for you. He wants to know, what is your dream match? It doesn't matter if it's indie, WWE, AEW, what have you. What person out there have you not wrestled yet that is on your bucket list?
How much time do we have?
About 45 minutes. Go ahead.
I don't think that's enough time, brother.
Well, give us the shortened list.
The shortened list right now is I would love to, like, as far as other indie talent, I would love to work with Matt Sex Sales again. I would love to work with Anthony Henry again, JD Drake. Those are AEW guys. WWE guys, I'd like to work with Cedric Alexander.
North Carolina boy, there you go.
Sorry guys, I really don't follow a lot of the WWE product. What is he going by on WWE now?
Got to give us more than that.
Hang on. He's in the New Day. Xavier Woods.
Xavier Woods. Okay.
He come through APW, I think, on his TNA run. He come through APW.
Okay. I would just like to see what you do with that trombone. But anyway. Jack Postel said, "What's up?" Della said, "I've heard it all."
Yeah, that'd be Mama.
Leah said, "Dream match is CM Punk and Brian Thrill." Uh-oh. He's looking like, okay, where is she?
Thanks, Leah.
Jack Postel said Gary versus Brian. Okay. You know what I would like to see one time? It would never happen, but it would be fun. Just like have some kind of charity and have the wives get in the rings with their husbands. You know what I'm saying? Or boyfriends and girlfriends, or this and that. You know what I'm saying? The better
Yeah, I got you.
halves, as we like to politely put it. That would be something sort of fun to do. Della said, I agree with that. Oh, Jeff Ward, how you doing? Said, see, I was trying to give you a heads up.
Oh, okay. So, all right, yeah, that it all makes sense now.
So where do you see your career in 5 years, Mr. Brian Thrill? Where do you see yourself? I know you got some things coming up in the near future that we can't discuss on the show here, but where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Probably right here on the Indies, running my own show and school.
Okay, so you do like training other. Do you like it when you see the lights come on?
Oh, when things finally click for people, absolutely. Absolutely.
Who name drop somebody who you've helped a little bit? I mean, everybody out there's had help from someplace or another, so it shouldn't be shaming to them at all. But tell me somebody that you were training and the light came on, just like you're talking about.
Chris. What is he? Oh, Chris Prince. Sorry, he keeps changing his name on me.
Christopher Prince. Yes.
Yep. He had that light, and with that class that he was in, there was Chase Emery, Lexi Steele, just Braden Marshall, just to name a few. But Chris always had it, he got it, he understood. But there was one moment where I was talking to him about something. He goes, "Oh, I got it." And I think that, and now when Lexi Steele had her aha moment, it stands out to me, but it wasn't as face palming. Once he finally got it, he was like, "Man, okay, I get it."
That's gotta be fun. Now, do you hold back when you train people? Because I know a lot of teachers don't teach everything, because there's always that moment when there's teacher versus student on down the road, and then you know how the promo goes. The promo is just as original as time is. Yeah, you think I taught you everything, but I left a few things out. So
right.
Do you teach like that?
In that case, I try to teach my kids to make them as prepared for this business as I can get them. And I don't really hold back a lot.
Right.
Just because, and the way things go in today's
Jeff Ward said, "Damn, he finally realized something."
Oh, there we go. Thanks, Jeff. But in the grand scheme of things, the way guys are getting booked today, like when I first broke in, there were 6 or 7 weekly shows that ran every Saturday.
Right.
And then you had one or two that ran on Fridays.
Right.
Now you've got most shows run bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly, Saturdays, Fridays, Sundays.
Yeah,
I've seen weekday shows sometimes.
Oh yeah. But in the grand scheme of things, as it pertains to what I teach my students, what I tell my students is, hey, find somewhere like this to cut your teeth and to try to learn something. And there's indie wrestling, especially here in the Carolinas. Everybody's like, well, the Carolina wrestling scene has been dead since the 80s. That is false. You've got guys like Lodi. Go see him. He does classes and things. Reach out to him. Go train with Lodi.
Right.
Go train with this person. Go train with that person. And if I have a personal issue with someone, I do not let that get in the way of business, because at the end of the day, it's a business.
Right. Exactly.
My personal feelings are not even there. So I try to send my kids any and everywhere, wherever's closest to them, and I know I can trust this other person to do things the right way. I'm going to send them there.
There you go, without a doubt. We are going to go to our third sponsor of the night, and then we're going to come back. If you've got any questions for Brian Thrill, put them up in the comments. Man, we've got a lot of people watching this. We got a lot of people talking. I will get to your comments right after this, without a doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, are you a collector? Are you a gamer? then do I have the place for you. Retro Toys and Collectibles is your one-stop shop for all your collecting needs. Funko Pops, action figures, WWE collectibles, movie memorabilia, and much, much more. And if you're a gamer, they also have a wide variety of Magic the Gathering cards, board games, video games for hours and hours of fun and enjoyment. Come out to 400 East Main Street, Cherryville, North Carolina. Say hi to Cotton, the owner, and tell him hashtag Truth sent you. You will be glad you did. Retro Toys and Collectibles, ladies and gentlemen, been a sponsor of hashtag Truth for quite a while. All right, now back to Brian Thrill. We've got a lot of people talking, man. Daniel said, was thinking about the offer, by the way, Brian, sooner than later. Surprise. They're
hope so.
talking Morse code during hashtag Truth and getting 20 more cats, apparently. Peter Pan said USA main event was top notch. Yes, I totally agree. I love the class that you were talking about that was coming through. Forearm party number 2. There you go. Brandon Owens and Smiley Feelgood are in the house. Oh, there we go. Travis Thompson, you know him.
Yep.
He said Mr. Thrill. Dream match happening right here on hashtag Truth. Okay. And Smiley's still going on about forearm party number 2. What is forearm party number 2? There's got to be a story there, sir.
All right, so I once worked for High Velocity Wrestling out of Hendersonville.
Okay.
I was a part of a tag team, or it was a faction, really. It was called LOL,
Okay.
Legion of Law. So Super Law and I were tag team, and Ethan Case was involved as well. Law has this thing that he would do. He'd call it the violence party. It was a forearm, a chop, a forearm, a chop, a forearm chop, and all that stuff. And then he went into some other things. I had made mention of it to one Brandon Owens.
Right.
And in mentioning that to him, he's like, we're going to do a forearm party? I was like, we can. Basically, Brandon grabbed me by the head. I grabbed him by the head, and we just started raining forearms into each other. And every time we would hit, the crowd would just get louder, 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 and louder. Just on simple forearms.
Like that. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. If you know your audience, if you know the area you're wrestling, and that is the type of wrestling that they want to see, that's awesome. When you can get over doing something like that, all the rest of it, is just icing on the cake.
Oh, absolutely. Now, bear in mind, too, Brandon and I had been building that angle for the better part of 6 months when it all finally happened.
Right. And I mean, something as simple as forearm slap,
Yeah.
gets the crowd riled up.
Yeah.
And anyway, anybody who knows me at a wrestling show, I'm not quiet. It doesn't take much to rile me up. But if I saw something like that, I'd be hollering, hooping, and hollering. See, that's good wrestling right there. Doesn't take a whole lot. Ron Emerson Jr. said, Brian Thrill is one of the most down-to-earth people in the indie scene here today. I agree with you, sir.
I wasn't expecting that, but okay.
Oh, here we go. Matt Burns said, I want a ladder match with Thrill.
I don't think you want that.
Matt Burns and Brian Thrill in a ladder match. Oh,
we're getting too old, buddy.
Why don't we just make it a barbed wire ladder match? Let's just, or throw the ropes away, period. Just the ladder.
We're getting too old for that crazy stuff, man.
Oh, come on now. You're just young enough to do it and not quite old enough, to not, get repaired afterwards.
So
Brandon Owens said Brandon even agreed with you. He's too old for that.
Okay, now I'm not, Brandon. You're up, buddy. Sorry, Matt. I got something to prove now.
Oh, he said, Smiley said, whoa, I'm talking about me and you in training, Thrill. Uh-oh. He wants to come back and train.
Yeah. We'll do it again.
When Smiley Feelgood comes back, let's make this happen. Okay. Max Carnage included. Okay. Daniel said, barbed wire again? Uh-oh, wait a minute. There's a barbed wire story? Oh, we got to hear this one, Brian. Come on.
Okay, it wasn't necessarily the barbed wire, but barbed wire was involved in this match. We were working show in Clyde, North Carolina, at the National Guard Armory up there. STW.
Okay.
We did Daniel and I were doing for the Thrill Division title. It's just sheer coincidence.
Right.
The names being similar. But he was doing something anyway, and they're like, well, hey, we're going to do this, and we guys want you to do this pedal to the metal match.
All right.
Okay. What does that
Metal to
entail?
the metal match.
That's what I thought too. It was just a bunch of metal weapons being used, and me and Daniel beating the tar out of each other. There was a steel chair, obviously, wrapped in barbed wire as they do. And hardcore wrestling has never really been my thing. I've never really been good at it. I've tried it a few times, but I'm not. It's not really my thing. But I will do it from time to time. Which with this
every once in a while, when you got a good feud, there's nothing wrong with ending it with no holds barred, street fight, something like that. But there's a time and a place for matches like that.
Absolutely. And this just happened to be one of those that worked out. To where that being the blow off, it worked out great. I go into the match as a heel. Everybody's wanting to see Daniel kill me. And I do mean literally kill me. They want me dead so they can parade my body through the streets or something. Like, they hated me. They absolutely hated me. So we get out, we start doing this match, and there's this barbed wire covered chair, and Daniel picks it up, and he's like, and he stuffs it into the corner. Well, we do the little spot, we do the little gimmick where it's counter, boom, and then somebody eats the chair. But like I said, it wasn't the chair or the barbed wire that really made that match, that angle, perfect. It was actually the thumbtacks.
Okay.
Daniel gets this bag out from under the ring, and we'd already talked about it, and he had already, hey man, just heads up, I'm gonna use thumbtacks tonight. I went, oh God, okay. I'm not, I'm like, nah, I'm not too keen on that, but I'll take it, whatever. He's like, no, brother, no. I was like, what's up? He goes, I'm taking them.
So you take the barbed wire chair, and he takes somebody's getting called. So you take the barbed wire chair, and he takes the thumbtacks during the match.
Yeah, that's pretty much how that happened.
The match at the end, I'm just curious.
Well, here's the funny part about not barbed wire, but thumbtacks.
Okay.
Once you pour them out onto a ring from a bag, I don't know if you have ever seen that happen. Watch anything Mick Foley's done with thumbtacks. They go everywhere. They don't stay.
You're not going to go through
nice
that match at all without getting a thumbtack in your foot, in your arm, and whatever. Yeah, once they're poured, if it's in the ring, you're going to get some in you no matter what.
By the time we finished that match, man, we were both covered, like absolutely covered in thumbtacks. We get to the back, and he looks at me, and he's like, how was that? Was that good, brother? Was that good? Thanking me and everything. We're bloodied and bleeding pretty good from random places. I'm not going to go into detail as to where one of the thumbtacks ended up, but let's say it was not great. We're sitting back there, and he's sitting in front of me, and I'm picking thumbtacks out of his back, and I don't remember. I think Robert Mack was picking thumbtacks out of my back, and I was like, somebody bring us a fork. Somebody find a fork. And they're like, why? I was like, slide it under the thing and just pop them out.
Right.
And I had worked with a stunt group long time ago. And that was something where, somebody would cover somebody's bed in thumbtacks and then just pick them up, throw them in their bed, and then just be a little spoof type thing. But we're just sitting there picking thumbtacks out of each other's backs. And Daniel looks at me just kind of like over his shoulder, and he was, hey, I got an idea. What? He's like, let's do it again.
Let's do it again. So you had another match?
Yeah. It wasn't like that.
Okay.
But it was pretty rough. Daniel's one of those guys where if it looks like he hit you, that's because he did in fact hit you. And it's not It's not some.
Sometimes, you know, some of these workers that were trained back in the day, and I say that with respect, that were trained back in the day, they weren't trained to pull nothing. You actually made contact with somebody. You know what I'm saying? And they call it stiff today. They call it being stiff today. But back then, that was just the way.
Back then, we called it working.
Yeah, that's just the way it was back then. That was being a wrestler.
And you know, I love getting in the ring and working with guys that are real snug. And there's a difference.
Johnny
between
Smith,
tight,
we will
snug,
be
and
getting
stiff.
to you shortly, sir. So don't go anywhere because yes, I'm going to bring up that story. Brian Thrill will tell that story here on hashtag Truth. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Did you say Chuck?
Johnny Smith. Yes, I said Johnny Smith.
I'm not telling that story. I'll get canceled. You don't have to say anything else. I know what's coming.
Question, though. I will. You can say no, pass, whatever. But I am going to ask the question.
I'll make up a way to censor it on the fly. But
Brandon Owen says, I'm surprised that man don't need a walker to get to the ring.
You're gonna need one when I'm done with you, Brandon. Keep on.
Smiley said, no, me and Thrill had a forearm party in training. Then he gets me in a submission, calls Brandon because I called Thrill kid crazy during the forearm trades. Brandon Owens' first name in the business. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
But so apparently you roughed him up a little bit.
Well, he called me kid crazy, so yeah.
Brandon
it was
Owens
fun.
said,
It was
"Come
fun.
on."
It was all in good fun. Nobody was mad at anybody. Now, in my defense, he was warned.
Johnny Smith said hashtag Tater and a feller. You know it's about to get real here on hashtag Truth when Chuck Winchester shows up. Michael Butler said, I'm here. You can start the interview now. Well, you're about 42 minutes late, sir. Hate to tell you. Jack Postel said, kid crazy. Okay, I got you. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and change over to my last and final sponsor of the day. And then we're going to go and we're going to talk about the story that Johnny Smith has brought up, which Brian Thrill will deny adamantly here on hashtag Truth. But let's go ahead and do this while we got the chance. Oh, gosh. Man, L&L Fence Company, specializing in custom fences, everything from wood and aluminum to chain link, 9331 Albemarle Road, Charlotte, North Carolina. Give them a call today. They will come out. They will give you a free estimate. 704-563-9544. L&L Fence Company. They do it in custom fencing, ladies and gentlemen, without a doubt. So, I just took the background away. L&L Fence Company was there, then they disappeared. Now they're back. All right, so here we go. Let's go back to the comment in question. Johnny Smith wants to know, and so do inquiring minds, what do you do to keep yourself entertained when Netflix goes out?
Not the story I thought he was telling, by the way. You get in the fetal position and you wrap a pillow around your head this way. And then you just kind of like, as you're laying on your side, you completely turtle up and you just rock on your side like this. Because that is some of the most traumatic things that will ever cross your eardrums in your entire life, just so you know. To this day, when the screen goes black, I have, some, flashbacks.
Are we going to tell the whole story, or are we just going to let him leave it at that?
I mean, I'll
tell the story. Brian Thrill was over at a good friend of mine's house, Chuck Winchester. And they're sitting there and they're hanging out. Well, Chuck decides he wants to go in the room and, have a little fun with the wifey poo, if you know what I mean. He tells Brian Thrill, he goes, hey, man, here's the remote. There's the TV. You can hit Netflix, watch whatever you want. I will be back in a few minutes.
Yep.
Chuck comes back in a few minutes and finds Brian Thrill in the fetal position on his couch in his den, doing exactly what he exactly how he described it, because Netflix went out and he heard everything that happened in the bedroom. He heard loud parentitis.
And I don't know where you get a few minutes from. That felt like an eternity. Let's go ahead and get that one out of the way. That was an eternity of listening to that. It was,
I
it was
love
pretty bad.
story time, man. Oh, Brian Cummins, welcome to Hashtag Truth. He said had some crazy times with Brian at STW and SCW.
Yeah, he's probably one of the ones that'll tell you I'm a big ribber.
Okay, I got you. So tell us, what is the funniest thing you think you've ever done as far as a rib in a locker room? Without getting, I don't want you to get into too much detail if it's going to offend the guy, but
We took an individual's bag. Now, this has happened to me a lot. Like, a lot. We took a certain individual's bag, and we had, like, the commercial tube of, like, saran wrap that they wrap pallets in. Put it on a pole and wrapped it as tight as we could get it to wrap. Had, like, his gear bag, everything. Right there. Just wrapped it as tight as we could get it. And then we leave. Like, we go get lunch, supper, whatever you want to call it. We left.
Right.
We went shopping. We come back, and the dude's tossed the locker room. Tossed this locker room, cannot find his bag. And the secret to doing stuff like that is to put it in plain sight, but just high enough out of sight
Right.
to where they
Right.
don't really think to look up.
Right.
It was probably about 6.5, 7 feet off the ground. And the only pole in the hallway there.
The whole locker room, it was the only pole, and all he had to do was kind of look up on the pole and he'd see it.
Well, it was outside the locker room in the hallway, but yeah. Yeah.
Thomas Scott said, Brian, what's up, brother?
What's up, Thomas?
Oh my gosh. Jeff Ward said, wait a minute, didn't you get the bag wrap idea from somewhere else?
I did. Because it had happened to me, and I figured if it's happening to me, I'm going to pass that tradition along.
There you go. There you go. Now we had talked with we had Matt Burns that showed up a few minutes ago. Now you want to talk about a gimmick bag? This man has to. I mean, he has to basically have a tow truck, carry in his gimmick bag.
Look, man.
Have you ever tried to do anything with Matt Burns?
The first time I met Matt, I can't remember if we were at NCW or if we were at SECW or whatever. Anyway, yeah, I've worked with Matt a lot. I have a lot of fun with Matt. But the first time he comes in with like a 4 foot by like 2.5 foot deep rolling suitcase. Like, this was before like the hard shelled ones and all that stuff became
Right.
commonplace. So it's just this cloth bag, sets the bag down, shakes everybody's hand, goes back out, comes back in with another equally as large rolling suitcase,
Okay.
lays them down and goes, what am I wearing tonight? And when I tell you, it looked like he had high spots in his bag.
That's not a joke.
No,
That is
he
not a
had
joke,
the
ladies and
warehouse
gentlemen.
in his bag.
Yeah, that's not even a joke. Matt Burns is one of the few wrestlers out there that if he showed up to a show with his stuff and brought his gimmick bags in and only 6 wrestlers showed up, they could have 6 matches.
Yep, absolutely.
Without a doubt. Matt Burns could play 6 characters with the snap of a finger and
I'll
make
do you
every
one
one of
better.
them look different, and you'd never know it was Matt Burns.
I will do you one better. You say that, but I'm going to say if you had 6 wrestlers show up, you'd have 7 matches with Matt Burns. Like,
He'd wrestle himself. Now that'd be a good one.
I've seen stranger. Trust me.
Brian said, didn't y'all throw my gear on the roof in Greenwood at Chapala's bar?
I wasn't a part of that one. I wasn't at that show, but that did in fact happen to your gear, I believe. Yes.
I remember you kicking my butt the night I won the live championship in Lawrence.
Hey, you had to earn it, brother. It wasn't just going to be handed to you.
That's what I'm talking about. Brian said, Brian's stepmom stories. Stepmom stories?
Long story on that one. It's about the lady my dad was married to.
Oh, okay.
At one point, don't dish soap, and me being very belligerent and a jerk to this
So
lady.
you had a very clean mouth for quite a while.
Nah,
I'm talking about like literally clean mouth. Dawn dish soap in the mouth.
oh no, I got you. Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
think
know
it
you
was.
didn't stop talking the way you like to talk. That ain't gonna happen. But
Look, man, I'm from an Irish family. All right, profanity just means we're that passionate about whatever we're talking about.
I got you. I got you. Emphasizing words, we call them. Emphasizing.
Oh
words.
yeah, emphasizing words.
Okay. Michael Butler said The Invisible Man.
I've done it, not on live on a show, but you can ask Chuck about this one, or Johnny. Every show I would get there super early, and I would always be one of the only people, if not the only guy in the ring. Nobody else in the building, just me. Maybe a handful of other folks, like getting concession stands set up, music, stuff like that. I'd be in the ring bumping by myself. I'd be beating the tar out of myself, and I would be selling it and jaw jacking with fans and things that weren't even there, and then feed around. Boom. I was always in a ring. If there was a ring up, I was in it.
See, I like to hear stories like that because people might think you're crazy, but that's the way to keep training. If nobody's there to train with you, hey, do it by yourself. I was about to say do it with yourself. Do it by yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, we got too many people on here that could have twisted those words real quick.
Oh yeah.
Daniel said again, ask about my stepmom stories. I don't know if that's what he's talking about.
Okay. No, I thought he was talking about the story I told him about my stepmom. No, he's talking about a stepmom story of his.
Okay.
We're gonna skip that one, Daniel.
Okay. That's a polite way of saying that ain't happening, Daniel.
I got to keep it somewhat G here, buddy.
Thomas Scott said, tell the story of my scarring the autistic kid at PW. Oh, no.
Oh, my God. All right. So Thomas is running this gimmick of the psycho. He's escaped from like a mental ward, that sort of thing. He's carrying a prosthetic leg around with him, and he's named this thing Fred. And he's written it on there, kind of like Al Snow had, help me written on his head, but he had it across the shin of this prosthetic leg. Well, the guy that runs music was like, hey, my son's birthday, whatever, do me a favor, scare the crap out of him. Got you, buddy. I got you. We're in the ring working, and I hit Dizzy with, I don't know, it was like a leg lariat or something. And he takes the bump. Well, he then immediately, boom, powders. He hits the floor, spins around, and if anybody knows anything about the old APW building, you know about those old black barricades that were like stiff. I mean, the padding was there, but the padding just kind of slowed down a little bit of the inertia coming in. Well, he hits that thing, boom, just like that, right at that kid's face. The kid yells, "Oh, bleep, 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 bleep." He's loose, turns around, and runs into the only pole on that side of the building. Like when he hit, it said, "Doing." Yep. I mean, that kid ran head, like when I tell you his head, his feet passed his head on the way to the ground, that kid almost cut himself inside out.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a story. That's something that kid will never forget the rest of his life. Every time he sees a wrestling ring, wrestling on TV, whatever, and if his family is there, they're always going to bring up. Remember that time when we went to a wrestling show and you ran into that pole?
Yep. Now, and the thing about this kid, man, is this kid was always like right there on the barricade. He was always popping for the baby faces and giving the heels up the road.
Now, see, that's the way I like to be at a wrestling show.
And I mean, I don't know, the kid might have been somewhere between 10 and 12 years old at the time.
Right.
But he wasn't backing down from any of the guys on the show. He'd get right up in their faces, and then just let them have it with both barrels.
But Thomas ended up right in his face, and he kind of freaked out, turned around, started running, and ran slap
Yeah,
dab into
yeah.
a
He
pole.
said about 8 emphasizing words and then bolted, like skedaddled right into a
love
pole.
that. Smiley Feelgood said, "Me versus Brandon versus Thrill." He's still pushing this match, ladies and gentlemen. What? Just make it happen, Smiley. You got to come back and start wrestling first of all. I mean, you can throw matches. I can do this too. See, watch. Brandon versus Thrill versus Big Country versus Jake Jacobs. I can do that all day too, but it ain't gonna matter if somebody doesn't pick it up.
That's fair.
You gotta have the ears of a promoter.
Yeah.
Smiley Feelgood, I love you and all, but Thrill would kick your butt. Uh-oh. He was scared to death of me. I bet he was. I can't handle me much less Brian and me. It was good to see Brandon Owens back in the wrestling ring, ladies and gentlemen. He came to HWA and made his comeback at HWA, and I'm so happy to see him in the ring. Coming back from injury, it's always a scary thing. I know his wife was out in that audience, just every move he was making in that ring, she was probably cringing, but he made it through okay. He's all right, and he's going to continue on. Speaking of injuries, have you had any injuries, notable injuries in your wrestling career?
Where do you want me to start?
Well, something that like kept you out for quite a while. I'm not talking about like, a pulled muscle or something that, in a week or two, you it's done. You go back to wrestling. I'm talking about, have you ever had any major injuries?
They say I broke it. I fractured my neck, like here, and then down here. And it's given me some issues along the way. I had my little shoulder here jump out during a match, and Jason Krause stomped it back in for me during the match.
Stomped it back in.
Yep.
Nice.
And now I can't do but this.
Your closest.
Well,
what is the saying? Your closest enemy is your friend.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
I looked at him. He goes
on the floor, man. Hey, I'm down. Kick.
And that's kind of what happened. We were in the middle of a. I can't remember what it was. It was some cluster. Well,
probably a fatal 4-way or something like that.
Something along those lines. But I was confused as to what was going on, and I was in the match. We were just trying to make, chicken salad out of chicken crap, But I don't. It was an arm drag. I come in, I fed, boom, we went, and the guy that gave it to me got in really deep, and then just snatched me right in, pulling it out. Essentially. Jason looks at me and says, "That's not right." I was like, "Put it back in."
Right. So
we hit the floor, and he's like, and then just stomps it in with everything he had.
Nice.
That was one in Mooresboro. But that one, the shoulder really didn't keep me out. It's weird to watch me trying to lift my arm above.
Brandon Owens wants to hear about the cop story.
All right. So
this is gonna be the last story, and then our hour will be up. So make it a good one.
So as we were talking about the Mooresboro gym.
Okay.
Without giving too much away, Brandon was there. We were getting the ring because, you got the gym and the dungeons in the basement. And then around back, there's big double doors. That's where all the classrooms are. Well, that's where the ring was stored.
Okay.
It's myself, Brandon, some family members. I think it was my dad and everybody else. We were all there. We're loading the ring on the trailer. Well, there's people in that park that's right behind the building. They think we've rolled in here and are breaking in. The promoter of the show couldn't find the key, asked me if I could break the lock off the door. It's her lock. I was like, absolutely. So I get a hammer and a screwdriver, man, and I take the door right off, or not the door, but the lock right off the door. We get in, we get the ring loaded. We have got the ring almost to the front door. We turned, we're back in the trailer to the front door so we can start loading in. Whoop, 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 whoop. I look up, here comes Cleveland County. I was like, oh boy, what do they want? I'm loading the ring in and everything. And the officer asks us, sir, can I talk to you for a minute? Because the description they got via the phone call, the 911 call, was the bald guy.
The bald guy. Okay.
So she comes up and she starts asking me questions. She's now a real good friend of mine.
Okay.
But she asked me to, keep my hands where she could see them and all this other stuff.
Right. Basically, why are you stealing this out of the building?
To put it right back into the building.
To put it right back in the building.
I explained to her 4 or 5 times, hey, look, we've got a wrestling show here tonight. Here's the show poster, and I handed it to her, and obviously I was on it. Brandon was on it, and she's like, okay, well, why were you beating the lock off that door? And I promoter couldn't find the key and told me to knock the lock off the door. She's like, well, how did you do it? I said, well, I took a screwdriver and knocked the lock straight off the door. She goes, well, how would you know how to do that? I was like, well, I kind of learned it in a forcible entry class, but
years of misspent youth. Where else would I have learned that?
Right. Years of misspent. Yeah, that's a good one. But no, she eventually had me sit down, and I was just like, she's like, keep your hands where I can see them. I'm like, I've got my knees, lady. You asked me to do this. I'm not going anywhere. Now that particular officer and I are now good friends. And that's how I met her. She was ready to take me to jail for a B&E. And Brandon's just sitting there lugging stuff into the building.
Fella said, Brandon, you had to go down that rabbit hole.
That's not the officer from Portland, Mama. Not the officer from Portland.
There you go. Brandon Owen said, the night we wrestled, shaking my head.
Yeah. And then they got called again because of that. I was getting there, Brandon.
Go ahead.
So we're doing this match, and it's a big blow-off match between me and Brandon. This is not Brandon jumped out of the rafters on me. But we start fighting. We go to the floor, and it's a no DQ match at this point. It's our blow-off, falls count anywhere kind of thing.
Right.
So we start fighting, and if you've ever been in Mooresboro Gym, the ring sits here, and we fought back this way into that foyer area. He chucks me against the wall. I invert, boom, feet up. He starts driving me back through the door. I do the little gimmick, and we go outside in the front yard.
Okay.
And we just start wearing each other out. And I don't think there was a seat left in that building at the time because everybody was getting up, fighting each other, trying to get out the door.
See, that's great when you take an audience outside and they follow. That's when you know you got something going on.
And then we had a car trailered in. It was just like a junk car. We kind of cleaned it up a little bit, whatever. And I used it to beat the tar out of Brandon down the driver's side. Brandon beat me down the passenger side. We got up on the sign and everything, and we're just fighting, like legitimate. Like I had 2 black eyes, split my lip open. Like we beat the mess out of one another. And I guess somebody in the crowd thought that it was really breaking down into a huge fight, and they called the law. And it was the same 2 officers showed back up, and they showed up blue lights and all, and me and Brandon are beating the tar out of each other in the parking lot. Oh, yeah. I'm like, great. Here comes my assault charge and my indecent exposure charge.
I've got to ask, what did you tell that female officer that walked up to you for the second time? You got black eyes. You probably got blood coming down by now. You tore up. The whole crowd is like surrounding you out there. There's nowhere to go. You can't deny it. I mean, you or Brandon, either one. And
oh no, when they rolled up, they seen us just tagging one another. My first thought, I didn't say this out loud, but it was like, please, dear God, don't tase me. So she grabs me by the arm and she goes, I thought we talked about this. I said, I'm trying to work, lady. And she's like, Vroom, and then she just hammer locks me. And the worst thing you can do is put a pro wrestler in a hammer lock. She's got me in the hammer lock. I did the little duck under gimmick, and I break free, and I just go back to beating the tar out of Brandon.
So they became part of the match at this point.
Oh yeah. Oh, I was absolutely going to make it that way. So by the end of it, I end up getting maced.
This really happened. The cops came back out. She put you in a hammerlock. You reversed it. You get out of it. You push her away. Start beating up on Brandon again. The mace comes out. She's spraying. So how did this match end?
Brandon beat me. No, I didn't push her away. I just did the duck under.
Right. You just duck under to kind of you separated from her.
Oh yeah, and I just grabbed Brandon and just swung on him one good time. And I don't think it was her that sprayed us. I think it was him, the other officer.
Right.
The bad part is I can tell you this officer was a jerk because he laid the mace right here. That way, the more I fought and the more I was sweating, the faster and it would burn a little further down. And,
right.
Oh, that guy. Oh God, he was mean. But everything got settled, and we were told that from now on, per whatever in Mooresboro, we had to keep everything inside.
You got to keep everything inside, yeah,
Yep.
including and next time have a key.
Yeah.
I don't think any of that would have got started if you'd have had a key.
Oh, absolutely not. That they wouldn't have been up there twice. They'd only had to come back once or come up
Thomas
once.
Scott said I had to get a promoter to come and get me out of jail for wrestling in a show in Tennessee for a body slam. I got into a car in the parking lot as a part of the show. I got onto a car in the parking lot as part of the show. So, wow. I mean, how do you not know if you pull up as an officer and you see that you're at, an armory or somewhere like that, you got to know the difference between a fight and a wrestling show.
Unfortunately, I don't think they do.
That's sad. That is sad to know. That's when you say, hey, on your day off, check out WWE every once in a while.
Well, there again, you've got a lot of great guys on the indies like right now that they can make, never make contact with you or make very light contact, and it looked like they just teed off on you.
Right.
And so these officers aren't trained in that. And they just see somebody boom, and they think, okay.
Well, I mean, if they would have came out and you were doing like wrestling moves and things like that, legit, they could probably tell. But I mean, they pulled up and you and Brandon Owens are bloodied, black eyes. You got blood coming down. I mean, I could see the difference. I guess, if I was a cop and didn't know wrestling and I pulled up to that and there was a crowd standing around, my first instinct wouldn't be, oh yeah, this is probably a wrestling show.
There wasn't, I mean, there was a little bit of blood from like a busted nose or whatever, but it wasn't really a whole lot of blood, but I did have Brandon by the hair of the head and he had me by my ear. I don't know why.
Those visuals are just.
I did. I had him by like hair right here, and he had me by my ear, and we were just beating the tar out of each other. It was a good time. Good time.
Well, man, I appreciate having you on #Truth. I enjoyed all the stories that you got. I'm going to give you the next couple of minutes, man. Let us know where you're going to be at wrestling in the near future, man. Hit us up with some shows, man.
Just for the foreseeable future, just HWA.
Okay, there's gonna be a show tomorrow night.
Yeah.
All right, out there at HWA 217 Gilkey School Road, Rutherford, North Carolina. You don't want to miss it. Doors open 6:30. Bell time 7:30. $10 at the door. Children 12 and under get in free, I believe.
So something like that. Yes.
Something like that. I might be wrong about that, but. I'm a bad host. I forgot to load the poster. My fault. My fault.
Right.
I could probably go and get it real quick. That would probably help us a lot.
Yeah, I think it's kids 12 and under is like $5 or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's the way it goes too. But I'm slow, me. I'm just a podcast host, Don't sue me or anything, Joey. I love you, man. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Where is it? There it is. Finally. Gosh. And that's on my page. That's shameful. I had to share it again. So to go to the top of the page. All right, here we go. Let me load it in, then we'll put it up here, and then we'll skedaddle on out of here. But I appreciate you being on the show, Brian, and telling us these stories, man. And I wish you the best of luck at HWA and everywhere else you're going to be wrestling. Thomas Scott said, call me. Max Carnage said, hello.
There he is.
There he is. Yep. Of course he comes in late. He's a late bloomer. There we go. Saturday, December the 10th. Tickets are $10. Kids under 12 or $5. You were correct. Doors open 6:30. Bell time 7:30. 217 Gilkey School Road, Rutherford, North Carolina 28139. Big Country is on the poster, but because of the Mid-Atlantic champion putting out paperwork on him, he is not allowed within 100 yards of him until the 30th. So on the 30th, there will be a show at HWA, and I guarantee you when Big Country gets a hold of him, that's going to be a show to watch. You don't want to miss that one either. But December
That is on a
10th,
Friday. That won't be on a Saturday.
Huh?
That's on that Friday. That's the 30th is on a Friday, not a Saturday.
Yes, and it'll be a Friday show, not a Saturday show. So yes, we will make sure when we get that poster and make those announcements that is made abundantly clear, guys, because almost every show at HWA is usually a Saturday night. So, but again, Brian, thank you, man. I love the storytelling. I love everything you say. I hope you do well in your wrestling career. I know I'm going to have you back on the show at a later time. We're going to be discussing some other things, but we can't do that at this moment. And like I said, I love everything you're doing. Samantha, come on and said, yay, she likes it. So, all right, guys. I don't have anybody scheduled for next week, so I'm just going to throw it out there. If you're available for Hashtag Truth and you're an indie wrestler, or you're a manager, or you're a referee, or you have anything to do with promoter, owner, anything to do with independent professional wrestling, look me up, hit me up, and we'll get you on Hashtag Truth. So until then, be good. Come back. Let's have some interviews with some great indie professional wrestlers, and that is the Hashtag Truth. We'll see you guys Monday.